Success and failure are two sides of the same coin. Two words that arouse opposite emotions but are deeply connected. Society has taught us to see success as the ultimate goal, the validation of our effort, and failure as the worst nightmare. The proof that we are not good enough. But what if I told you that the Stoics had a completely different vision? What if success and failure were not enemies but allies? The Stoics, those wise men who understood life as a mental battlefield, never saw success as a goal or failure as a defeat. For them, the important thing was not what happened outside, but what happened inside. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, all left powerful teachings on how to face both success and failure without losing the essence, without being slaves of the opinion of others, and above all, without allowing these external circumstances to define their happiness. Because in the end, what is success? Really having money, fame, recognition, and failure is really losing, or is simply a sign that we are on a path where we can learn something. The Stoics teach us that there is no success without learning, and there is no failure without growth. It is all part of the same journey. In this video, we're going to explore 16 Stoic lessons about success and failure, key ones that will change your perspective and help you find the balance between what you want and what really matters. Before continuing, I want you to leave in the comments a word or a short phrase that represents success or failure for you. Something that can inspire others and remind them of what really matters in life. To be something like failure is a teacher, success is perseverance, or whatever you feel resonates with you. Your words can help someone else to read them. Before you start, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and activate the bell to not miss any new content. First lesson is not your successes or your failures. Don't let success go to your head or failure to reach you. Epictetus' heart. Look, here is the first great truth you have to understand. You are not your successes or your failures. You cannot define yourself by what you achieve or by what you lose, because if you do, you are giving your identity to something that is out of your control. And if there is something that the Stoics repeated over and over again, it is that the only thing we really control is our mind and our actions. Everything else is uncertain, volatile, and many times unfair. Think about this. Imagine that you work hard, try your hardest, and achieve something incredible. Let's say you start a business and suddenly you become successful. People admire you, applaud you, call you intelligent, visionary, and you start to believe it. You think you're superior because you've succeeded. But what if one day everything falls apart? If the company goes bankrupt? If you lose everything? If the people who praised you now ignore you? If you based your value on success, at that moment you will feel nothing, a failure. You see the problem? If your identity is tied to external results, then you are a slave to them. When everything is going well, you feel on top of the world. But when something goes wrong, you sink. The Stoics teach us that we cannot define ourselves by what we get, but by what we get. What we are. The only thing that belongs to you is your character, your ethics, your discipline, your inner strength. What this key helps you with. This key frees you from the emotional roller coaster. If you understand that neither success makes you better nor failure makes you worse, then you stop living at the pace of external circumstances. You no longer get depressed when things go wrong, nor do you become arrogant when things go well. It helps build an unbreakable mindset. If you are not your successes or your failures, then nothing can bring you down. You can lose everything and remain the same person. As Marcus Aurelius said, if something external causes you pain, it is not the thing itself what you are doing, but your judgment on it, and you can revoke that judgment right now. Makes you focus on what really matters instead of obsessing over fame, the money, or external validation. You focus on building your character, and believe me, that's the only thing that no one can take away from you. Success is ephemeral. Failure also. The only thing that remains is the person who decides to be second. Lesson: focus on what you can control. Don't look for events to happen as you want. Better want them to happen as they happen, and so you will live in peace. Epictetus. Here is a brutal truth that many people they refuse to accept. You can't control everything that happens in your life. You can work hard, do things right, plan every detail, and still the final result doesn't depend completely on you. You can study for an exam and fail. You can build a business with all your passion and that never takes off. You can do everything for a relationship and that the other person decides to leave. Society has sold us this idea that if you fail, it is because you did not do enough. But the Stoics teach us something different. Success and failure are partly a matter of effort and partly a matter of circumstances that we cannot control. Think about it. Did Marcus Aurelius have control over the plagues and the wars that swept his empire? He could avoid being unjustly accused and sentenced to death, but what they could control was his attitude, his discipline, your temper, and that's everything. If you spend your life obsessed with what you can't control, you'll be in a constant state of anxiety and frustration. So the key is to focus on what's in your hands, your effort, your mindset, your character, your discipline. What this key helps you with saves you tons of suffering. Instead of lamenting what went wrong, you accept reality and keep going. Go ahead. You don't get paralyzed by defeat because you understand that you did the best you could with what you had. It gives you an edge over others. Most people waste time and energy worrying about what they can't change. You instead direct all your attention to what you can do, and that makes you a more effective person. Makes you resilient when you stop obsessing about results and you focus on the process. Failures don't affect you as much anymore because you know that the only thing that matters is to give your best no matter what you do. The Stoics teach us that freedom is not doing what we want, but accepting what happens with serenity and moving forward. So stop worrying about what's out of your control, do your best, and let go of the result. Lesson: not a punishment, but rather a teacher, is failure. What we believe to be happening to us disturbs us, not what really occurs. Epictetus said, "Failure is not the enemy. It is not something you should avoid at all costs, nor a sign you are excellent at anything." If you learn to listen to failure, it is really among the finest instructors you could have in life. If instead of seeing failure as a humiliation, you see it as an opportunity, you become stronger and wiser. With each mistake, it takes away the fear of trying new things. Many people never dare to do something because they are afraid of failing. But if you understand that failure is only part of the process, you become braver. It helps you constantly improve. Every time you fail, you have the opportunity to adjust, correct, and do it better next time. Failure is not the end. It's just a beta version of your success. Marco Aurelius said, "What stands in the way becomes the path," and that's exactly what happens with failure. Every stumble is a lesson in disguise. One more piece of the puzzle that you get closer to your best version. So the next time you fail at something, instead of sinking into frustration, ask yourself this question: what can I learn from this fourth lesson? Don't seek the approval of others. If you seek tranquility, do less or more. Exactly, do only the essentials. Marcus Aurelius. This is a key point. Real success has nothing to do with what others think of you. If you live seeking validation from others, you'll be stuck in an endless cycle of anxiety, comparisons, and frustration, because people will always have something to say, whatever you do. Many obsess over external recognition. They want applause, they want to be seen as successful, they want everyone to admire them. But tell me, what good is that if deep down you don't feel full? Marco Aurelius, who was Emperor of Rome, the most important man, strong for his time, he wrote in his meditations that he realized he couldn't satisfy everyone. He didn't care about what others thought. He so concentrated his emphasis on doing the right thing rather than on getting outside acceptance. And you should also do this as you become a slave to things. If your definition of success depends on what others think, views of fashion, of praise, one day you adore you, the next you hate you, and depending on that will cause you to be emotionally lost. However, if you concentrate on your own achievement, on living by your beliefs and principles, then the view of others loses influence over you. How does this key help you? It gives you emotional freedom. You don't depend on external validation to feel good about yourself. It makes you more authentic. You live according to your values, not according to what others expect of you. It takes away your fear of the failure. Many people don't try new things for fear of what they will say, but if you stop worrying about it, you dare to do more. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I really want it or because I want to impress someone? If the answer is the latter, it's time to rethink. Don't worry about what people say about you. Get busy living a life with purpose. Fifth lesson: discipline is more important than motivation. No one is stopping you from living according to reason, so don't let anything distract you. Marcus Aurelius. Here's an uncomfortable truth: motivation is an unstable feeling. There are days when you feel unstoppable, ready to conquer the world, and others when you can barely get out of bed. If you depend on motivation to get things done, you'll be stuck in a back and forth of emotions without making consistent progress in your life. What really leads you to success is not motivation, but discipline. Think of anyone who has achieved something important. He did not do it because every day he was inspired to work. He did it because even if he did not feel like it, he did it anyway. The Stoics understood this. Centuries ago, Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, forced himself to get up early too. Write his reflections. Epictetus, a slave, forced himself to learn and teach philosophy even in adverse conditions. They didn't expect to feel good to act. They acted because they knew it was the right thing to do. The problem with motivation is that it comes and goes. One day you're full of energy, another day you're tired, with doubts, with laziness, and if you only work when you feel inspired, you won't get anywhere. That's where discipline comes in. What helps you? This key makes you constant. Instead of relying on emotional impulses, you create habits that keep you moving forward no matter how you feel. It separates you from the crowd. Most people only work when they feel motivated. True winners work even when they don't feel like it. It makes you unbreakable. When you get used to doing what you need to do, no matter your emotional state, you develop an indestructible mind. Ask yourself, how many times have I stopped doing something just because I didn't have to? Win now. Then, consider where you would be today if you had done it any other way. Wait not to wait for inspiration. Do it anyhow. Sixth lesson. Try not to become hooked to the outcome. Develop affection for the process. The one who loves fame depends on others. The one who loves pleasure depends on his senses. However, he makes his happiness dependent on himself. Marco Aurelio. Here is a mistake that ruins a lot of people. Too emphasis. Many people get obsessed with reaching the goal as quickly as possible. They want the perfect body without training every day. They want to get rich without learning about finances, and they want success without paying the price of effort. But the truth is that success is not in the destination, but in the path. See the Stoics. Their secret was not in what they acquired, but rather in what they evolved into along the process. What really important to them was to be faithful to their discipline, to their values, to their mental and emotional training. They did not give a damn whether they won or lost, whether they were acknowledged or dismissed. If your only attention is on the outcomes, each day will seem frustrating. If you don't get there quickly, you despair. If something goes wrong, it demotivates you, and worst of all, when you finally achieve, you don't feel the satisfaction you expected, because you will always be looking for the next one. Instead, if you focus on loving the process, success comes as a natural byproduct. If you enjoy the art of learning, you become wise. If you enjoy training, you get fit. If you enjoy working on your business every day, sooner or later you will grow in what this key helps you. It takes away the anxiety of success instead of being obsessed with arriving fast. You enjoy every step of the way. It makes you more patient. You know that everything is a matter of time and consistency, so you keep going without getting frustrated. It makes you immune to failure. If you enjoy the process, even when something doesn't go as expected, you keep moving forward because the real prize is in improving every day. Think about this. If tomorrow they gave you all the success you dream of, without having worked for it, without having learned the lessons of the path, you would value it in the same way. The true Stoic falls in love with effort, not with the prize, so change your mindset. Enjoy the process and success will come. Only seventh lesson is the training of the strong. Fire, taste gold. Adversity, test the brave. Seneca. This is where many people give up. Adversity, that moment when everything seems to be against you, when you feel that the things just don't go the way you want them to, when it seems like all effort is in vain, and at that moment you have two options: complain and surrender. Take it as the best workout to get stronger. The Stoics had it, of course. Without adversity there is no growth. There is no growth. That simple failure, the blows of life, rejections, defeats, all that is like the gym of the mind and character. Every time you face a problem and you don't break down, you become more resilient. Imagine a warrior who has never fought in a battle royale. He may have the best armor, the sharpest sword, but if he has never been in the war, he really is a warrior. The same goes for you. If you have never faced difficulties, how will you know what you are made of? Adversity is not a punishment. It is a test, and not a test to humiliate you, but for you to discover your true potential. Thinks about Marcus Aurelius was a Stoic emperor who faced wars, plagues, betrayals, and the death of his loved ones. He could have fallen into despair. He could have lamented his fate, but instead he saw every obstacle as an opportunity to demonstrate his inner strength. That's why he wrote in his meditations, "What stands in the way becomes the way." What does this mean? That problems are not there to stop you, but to teach you something, and what this key helps you. It makes you see problems with another perspective instead of feeling like a victim. You see them as opportunities for growth. They make you more resilient with each obstacle overcome. You develop a stronger, more serene, and more strategic mentality. It gives you self-confidence when you go through adversity and move forward. You realize that you are stronger than you thought. Think of any successful person. Almost all of them have gone through difficult times, failures, rejections, economic crises, family problems. But the difference between those who succeed and those who give up is that the former used adversity as fuel instead of seeing it as a break. Do not fear. Difficult times are what will make you invincible. So the next time you face an obstacle, instead of wondering why this is happening to me, ask yourself, what I can learn from this octave comparison is the poison of the soul if you want to improve. Content yourself with appearing ignorant or clumsy in what you haven't learned yet. Epictetus, here's a truth that destroys many people's happiness. Comparing yourself to others is the quickest way to become miserable. We live in an era where it's easier than ever to see what others are doing. Social media, news, influencers. All the time we are exposed to other people's lives, and many times that makes us feel that we are not doing enough. You see someone traveling the world and you think, I wish my life were like this. You see someone with a successful business and you say to yourself, I could never achieve that. You see someone in a perfect relationship and you feel that you are missing something, but what you never consider is that what you are doing, what you see in others, is not the complete picture. That person, the one displaying success, most likely spent years struggling before reaching their goals. Who seems content on Instagram most likely has issues like any other. That ideal existence you find on TV is just what they wish to show you. The Stoics understood that comparison was a deadly trap. You will constantly feel as if you are lacking something if you start comparing yourself with others. And the worst thing is that you will never be able to win, because always someone richer, more successful, more talented, more whatever this key helps you with, frees you from anxiety. Instead of worrying about what others have, you focus on your own path. It gives you clarity about what you really want. Many times when you compare yourself, you desire things that don't even go with your true purpose. It helps you focus in your progress. The only useful comparison is with yourself. You are better than yesterday. You are growing. That is the only thing that matters. Marcus Aurelius said that there was no point in wasting time thinking about the lives of others, because the only thing we can control is our own mind and our own actions. So instead of spending energy looking at the success of others, use that energy to build your own greatness. And remember this: the only person you should compare to is yesterday's version of yourself. Ninth lesson: learn to embrace discomfort if you want to improve. Prepare to be ridiculed, to be misunderstood, to be looked down upon. But if you stand firm in what you have decided to be, those who used to make fun of you will end up happening when you step out of your comfort zone. Look around. Most people search. They don't want to get out of a rut. They don't want to face difficult challenges. They don't want to feel embarrassed or uncomfortable. But here's the problem. Everything that is really worthwhile in life requires going through uncomfortable moments. The Stoics knew this perfectly. Epictetus, who was a slave before becoming one of the most important philosophers in history, understood that suffering and discomfort are not things that we should avoid, but tools that strengthen us. You want to be stronger physically, you have to endure the pain of exercise. You want to learn something new, you have to go through the frustration of not understanding at first. You want to become successful, you have to face the fear of failure, criticism, and uncertainty. But what separates those who succeed from those who stay in the same place is that the former understand that discomfort is a sign of progress, not defeat. What does this key help you with? It makes you more resilient. Instead of running away from the uncomfortable moments, you face them and grow with them. It helps you unlock new skills. Everything you master today was uncomfortable at some point. Talking about making difficult decisions, facing criticism, all that becomes easier with practice. It separates you from the majority. People who do not want to feel discomfort will always stay in the same place. You, on the other hand, will be constantly advancing. Seneca said it in a brutal but realistic way: It is in the storms where we see what is a sailor made of. If you always avoid discomfort, never discover what you are capable of. So the next time you feel fear, doubt, or discomfort, don't run through it, because behind that discomfort is the strongest version of yourself. 10th lesson: don't waste your energy on what has no solution. If you have a problem and you can fix it, then there's no reason to worrying if there is no solution. Worrying won't do any good either. How much energy you've wasted worrying about things you can't change. How many times you've spent sleepless nights thinking about a problem without a solution. The reality is that many people drown in things that are not under their control. They worry about what someone said about them, about past mistakes, about situations that they can no longer change, and that's a total waste of time and energy. The Stoics understood this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations wrote over and over again about the importance of directing our energy only to what we can really control. If something has a solution, work on it and solve it. If something has no solution, accept it and move on. Example 1: you were fired from your job. You can spend weeks complaining and cursing your boss, or you can use that time to look for new opportunities. Example 2: someone betrayed you. You can get stuck in anger and resentment, or you can accept what happened and focus on building healthier relationships. Example 3: you got something important wrong. You can mentally torture yourself, or you can learn from that mistake and make sure you don't repeat it in the future. How this key helps you save you tons of stress and anxiety. No, you don't wear yourself out on things that you can't change. It allows you to act smarter. Instead of reacting emotionally, you focus on what you can really do. It makes you more productive. You stop wasting time on useless worries and you use your energy on things that really matter. Epictetus explained it with a simple teaching. Don't waste your time wishing things to be the way you want them to be. Instead, accept them as they are and find the best way to act within that reality. If you want to be mentally stronger, stop fighting against what you can't change. Focus on what you can do and move forward. 11th lesson: don't take anything personal. Remember that the fault is not in the events, but in your interpretation of them. Epictetus here is one of the things that most poisons people's minds. Believe that everything others do or say it's a personal attack. Someone ignores you and you think, sure, they don't like me. Someone criticizes your work and you think they hate me. Someone gives you a bad comment and you think it's a direct attack, but the reality is that most of the time the actions of others have nothing to do with you. The Stoics understood it perfectly. People act according to their own nature, not for you. No, not everything. The world is going to treat you with kindness. Not everyone is going to think before you speak. Not everyone is going to value what you do. But that doesn't mean that the problem is you. Think about this. Every person around you is fighting their own battles. Someone may be having a bad day, and that's why they respond in a bad way. Someone may be full of insecurities, and that's why you criticize. Someone may simply have a different way of being than you. If every comment or action of others affects you, you will live on a constant emotional roller coaster. But if you learn not to take anything personal, you gain immense power over your own peace of mind. How does this key help you? It makes you stronger emotionally. You don't collapse because of every word or action of others. It helps you respond with intelligence instead of reacting with emotion. Instead of getting defensive, you can analyze the situation with clarity. Frees you from the need for approval. You don't want everyone to treat you well because you know it's not something you can control. Marcus Aurelius explained it. So when someone hurts you or talks badly about you, remember that that's their way of seeing the world, not yours. If you let from taking things as personal attacks, you become unwavering. So the next time someone criticizes you, ignores you, or acts in a way you don't like, ask yourself if it's really worth spending your energy on that. Most of the time the answer will be no. 12th lesson: patience is a form of power. Nothing big, it's created overnight. Not even a little fig tree. Yes, do you want a fig tree? Be patient and let Epictetus live in a world where everything is fast. We want immediate success, immediate results, immediate rewards, and when we don't get them, we get frustrated, we despair, we feel that something is wrong. But here is the brutal truth that the Stoics understood centuries ago. Really valuable things take time. Look at any great achievement in history. The great philosophers did not become wise overnight. Tomorrow they spent years studying, thinking, and writing. Athletes did not. They became champions in a month. They trained tirelessly for years before seeing the fruits. Successful businesses are not built in weeks. Behind every company you admire today, there are years of sacrifices, failures, and learnings. Patience is a form of power. If you are patient when others win, if you move forward when others look for shortcuts, you get ahead. If you work every day without expecting instant rewards, sooner or later you will see results. The Stoics knew that time is an ally, not an enemy. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. When you are impatient for a result, ask yourself if you can really rush it without sacrificing its quality. If the answer is no, then accept the rhythm of things. If you learn to develop patience, you become stronger than 90% of people, because while others they perform when they don't see immediate results, you keep moving forward, trusting in the process. What does this key help you in? It gives you emotional stability. You don't get frustrated because you understand that everything comes at the right time. It makes you more disciplined. You work consistently without the need to see quick results. It separates you from those who look for shortcuts while others waste time looking for easy solutions. You build something solid and lasting. Think of nature, a seed. No, it becomes a tree in a day. But if you take care of it, if you water it, if you have patience, one day it becomes something huge. That's how everything works in life. So relax, do your part, and let time do its 13th lesson. Master your emotions before they dominate you. The most powerful man is the one who has complete control over himself. Here is a truth that separates the strong from the weak. If you don't control your emotions, they will control you. Look around you. How many times have you witnessed someone let their anger consume them and so miss a chance? How many times have you witnessed someone behave out of fear, making a poor choice? How many times have emotions driven you from what you really wanted? Emotion is part of human nature, but you can't let it rule you. How does someone look governed by their emotions? Someone who gets angry and says things they regret. Someone who feels afraid and never takes action. Someone who gets carried away by sadness and gives up before their time. Someone who is impulsive and makes decisions without thinking about the consequences. On the other hand, a person with control emotional is like a rock in the middle of a storm. The wind may hit it, the rain may cover it, but it does not move, it does not break, it does not let itself be carried away. The I am. They did not say that you should become a robot without feelings. Emotions are there and it is normal to feel them. But what they taught is that you cannot allow them to dictate your life. Think of Marco Aurelio was the most important man. Powerful of the world, emperor of Rome, surrounded by betrayals, wars, and constant crises, and what he did not allow his emotions to dominate him. He sat down every night to write in his meditations, to analyze his thoughts, understand his fears, recognize his impulses, and to dominate them. That is power. What does this key help you in? Makes you make better decisions when you act from reason instead of emotion. You avoid regrets. It gives you an advantage over others. Most people are reactive. They are carried away by anger, frustration, or fear. If you don't fit that, you become stronger than them. It helps you find peace of mind. You avoid depending on your emotions. You may act and keep on. Epictetus expressed it precisely. We can't control what occurs to us, but we can control how we respond to it. Hence, the secret is not your emotions. You own them. Days when you lack motivation also clearly show this. Thus, the next time you experience anger, anxiety, or sadness, instead of behaving impulsively, pause, inhale, notice the feeling, and then act deliberately. That sums up it. No one is free if they are not masters of themselves, Epictetus. So, the path of the fourth lesson Stoic is self-discipline, true freedom. One of the great tragedies of life is that those who pursue freedom without direction wind up slaves to their desires. Look about you. While many people think that being free involves doing what they want, without constraints, without boundaries, in fact, a life free from limitations is what everyone wants. Discipline is a life out of control. If you consume whatever it is without measure, you become a slave to food. If you spend without thinking, you become a prisoner to debt and money. If you postpone time, you become a slave to regret. True freedom, the Stoics realized, comes from under control of impulses rather than from letting oneself be taken away by them most of the times. Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius lived with self-control even though he had all the authority and access to pleasures he desired and would have otherwise given in excesses. Why? He understood he would lose control over himself if he permitted fleeting pleasures to overwhelm him. Someone with self-discipline looks like? This person wakes up early even if it does not feel like it. He exercises even if his muscles pain. He is someone who saves instead of spends. Impulsively, it is someone who works on their project even if they are not motivated that day. Self-discipline is not a restriction, it is a path to greatness. What does this key help you in? It gives you control over your life. You are not at the mercy of your impulses or momentary emotions. It separates you from those who fail. Most people are slaves to their immediate desires. If you have self-control, you become superior to them. Leads to achieve what you want, any goal you have in life, health, success. Knowledge requires discipline. Mint said it clearly. Art to yourself is the greatest power you can possess. So ask yourself, do you really have control over your decisions, or are you being dominated by your impulses? If you want a great life, Dominic, that you don't value yourself more than you value the opinion of others. Marcus Aurelius. Now I'm going to say something that could set you free forever. What others think of you doesn't matter at all. Yes, I know in today's world where everything is based on social media, on likes, on external approval, this sounds almost impossible to apply, but if you live depending on what others think of you, you'll never be truly free. Many people spend their entire lives trying to fit in, to be accepted, from do what they think others want them to do, but say, what is the point of being loved by everyone if deep down you are not living the life you really want? The Stoics had a simple rule: external opinions do not matter. The only thing that matters is to live with virtue and according to your principles. Think of Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who, instead of acting to please his court, ruled according to his ethics. Itself was not looking to be popular, it was looking to do the right thing, and that's what you should do. Why? The opinions of others shouldn't affect you, because there will always be someone who criticizes you no matter what you do. There will always be people who disagree with you, because people change their minds all the time. Today they applaud you, tomorrow they criticize you. You're really going to base your life on something so unstable, because the only opinion that really matters is yours. If you know that you are acting in the best possible way, that is enough. Epictetus said it brutally but true. If you worry too much about what others think, you will be their prisoner. You want to be free? Then stop worrying so much about what others say. Do what you think is right, go your way and let them talk, because in the end opinions they forget, but your life is only yours. We say to lessen the ego is your worst enemy. It's impossible to learn what you think you already know. Epictetus here is something that destroys more people than you imagine. The ego is that voice in your head that tells you that you already know everything, that you don't need to learn, that you are better than others, that no one can teach you anything. And you know what happens when the ego dominates your life? You stagnate, because the ego won't let you improve. Look around, how many people ruin their own opportunities just because they don't take advice? How many entrepreneurs lose their businesses because they think they already know everything? How many people fail because they are not willing to admit their mistakes? The ego is a silent poison, makes you believe that you are invincible when in reality there is always something more to learn. The Stoics understood it perfectly. Marcus Aurelius, being emperor of Rome, the most powerful man of his time, forced himself to remind himself that he was nothing more than a human being who could make mistakes, that he should keep learning. And it is the reason he was so remarkable.